Good evening and welcome to the world's greatest podcast. It's a Christmas special. It's Ready Steady Remake, where each week we take a film, we love it, we hate it, and then we remake it. As always, I'm joined by my Christmas co-host. It's Rachel Jingle Bells Thompson.
Oh, hello everyone. Jingle, jingle.
And I'm your main host. I'm Rich Kelly.
I'm
Welcome
your
to the show.
main host, claim and main host.
Normally I do it the other way around, and I go, I'm your host.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah.
So I thought I'd bring it back. I'll give myself some
Rewind.
A
Promotion. A Christmas promotion.
Mate, Santa put it in the sack. Rich's main host. Play the theme tune.
Hey, you ready?
Let's do this.
Ready, steady, remake.
So guys, it's Christmas. It's that time of year when children should be behaving. Alcoholics are struggling. It's a lovely time. It's Christmas. Tomo.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Hopefully you've been a good boy, a good girl this year. You get everything you wanted and you don't get COVID.
Yeah, or a piece of coal.
Or a piece of coal, a COVID coal.
COVID coal, mate. I must say you're looking incredibly festive over there.
Mate, I upgraded the episode with a Christmas tree.
Yeah, and stocking, mate.
Stocking. And guess
and
what's on?
Die
Hard's on in the background on the telly. I've gone all out.
Are those, and the thing is, mate, I can see it beneath your for those who were just listening, what would you call that? A shelf above your fireplace.
Yeah.
There's wax from a candle, but it looks like icicles, mate. Like festive icicles.
That's exactly what I was going for, mate. The festive icicles. Beautiful, isn't it? I mean, I wish I could show you around the whole house, but as you can see, living like a
There's no need for that.
Okay, moving on.
As you can see, I've got nothing, mate. I don't even have a phone.
You've got RoboCop and two plants.
I got Spider-Man. And a robot.
And like an old Victorian steampunk lamp, which I quite like.
I do, I know. I haven't done any decorating. There's a whole situation why I don't have decorations. But
why haven't you got decoration? No, tell everyone.
All right, then I will. I bought loads. I spent loads of money on decorating.
Oh, I know.
And, I had an ex-girlfriend, and when she broke up with me, she took all the decorations. Lights and everything. And I've spent about 200 quid. So this year, I'm like, you know what? I ain't spending the money. I'm going home to my mum and dad's. I mean, mum has done a lovely blue theme this year.
Oh, for what? For a specific reason?
No, every year she has a different coloured theme that she goes
I'm going to go because it's for the NHS.
Maybe it is, but it's like, it's all very blue and like silvery. And it's
like Jack Frost.
Yeah, listen, right. It's a lot. It's a lot. But she gets a lot of joy out of it. She's so good for her. And I'm looking forward to...
My mum is exactly the same. Loves it. Becomes Mrs. Christmas. Becomes quite... Shout out to my mum. She'll be watching this. Like when you go to mum's, you can't touch. Everything's got its place. Everything needs to be where it needs to be. And she has it absolutely stunning. There's actually a show on Netflix at the moment called...
Mate, do it for Christmas decoration.
Seen it? Have you seen the Italian episode?
When you put the show on Netflix on and something will play, like when you're flicking through it, and I saw it and I went, it's not for me, that's too much.
Mate, imagine like Christmas decorations, then put more Christmas decorations on top of that, and then put probably some more on top of that. Then it's probably about halfway there, mate. It is. My mum loves it, mate. Getting her ideas for next year, I reckon.
So yeah, mate, it's that time of year. It's Christmas time. So guys, because it is Christmas time,
mistletoe and wine,
children singing Christian rhymes
with little. Right, shall I introduce the film?
Yeah, man, do it.
Right, this week, guys, we are doing a 1988 American action film, which is directed by John McTiernan, who did
Predator.
Yeah. Um,
And
it
then
was,
went to prison. Sorry,
oh,
it's a long.
we'll get into that.
It was boring. Tax evasion shit. It's boring. Carry on.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it was written by Jeb Stewart and Stephen E. DeSouza, I think is how you say it. Souza. But they both did, Jeb Stewart did Fugitive and Stephen E. DeSouza. the reason
Fugitive,
why I'm, the reason the reason why I'm mentioning him,
Yeah.
he is one of the top only 5 writers in kind of the movie world who has ever earned over $2 billion for his work. It's a lot of money.
Writing work. That's a shit ton. 2 billion. That's.
2 billion, mate. Stephen E. DeSouza. So
I've never even heard of Stephen D. DeSouza.
he did Commando
I know
and
Commando very well.
Judge Dredd. So yeah,
It's not a good movie.
yeah, but 2 billion, mate.
Wow.
Anyway, it stars Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Bonnie Bedelia.
Yeah, man.
I think that's how you say it. Yeah, based on the 1979 novel Nothing Lasts Forever, with a budget of $35 million, and it grossed $141 million. And it is now considered to be one of the greatest action films ever made. And it's also considered to be one of the best Christmas films out there. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
It's Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon? Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
And New York cop John McClane has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead, he's going to have to save her.
Sit down.
Within this skyscraper high above the city, 12 terrorists have declared war.
They're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
Guys, it's Die Hard. We're doing Die Hard. It's been a long time coming. This is a film that I think tops a lot of their favourite films of all time. Now, Tomo, I'll start the show where I always start the show. Do you remember the first time you saw Die Hard?
Yeah, ish. I had to search for this one, but it came to me. It was actually on a plane.
Came to me like the ghost of Christmas past.
It came
Fucking
to me.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
On a plane, mate. So I reckon it was probably yeah, and Die Hard, because he's
I
on.
guess he's on a plane. Yeah, he's on a plane. Carrying a gun.
But do you know? I went to America with my family.
Yeah.
And on the way back, it was a night flight, and as you know, Rich, not other people may know, but I'm not the best of flyers. Hate flying.
No, you're not.
Scared of flying.
That's
so it was a night flight through the night, and I was scared as ever. So, but the best thing about it was a free bar. It was like an all-inclusive. You can drink as much as you can drink on the plane. So I drank a lot of red wine. Yeah, that night on the plane.
Hello.
And everyone was asleep. Cheers, mate.
Happy Christmas, mate.
Happy Christmas, mate. Cheers. Cheers.
For those who are listening, me and Tomo are drinking red wine. Fresh Christmas grape. I've got black red wine teeth, though, for anyone who's watching. Excuse the dark teeth.
Mate, that's part of the that's part of the. But yeah, so I drank a lot of red wine on this flight.
Yeah.
To settle the nerves, and not everyone, but majority of the plane was asleep. Lights down. I had my little light on, and I watched Die Hard, mate. And
Well, there you go.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
What
about you?
Mate, I don't really remember a time having not seen Die Hard. What I remember the first time I saw the uncut full version when I was a little boy. Die Hard was on telly all the time. It was on ITV every other weekend, but I didn't realise that I was watching the British TV cut version, where they would cut out a lot of the swearing, a lot of the violence, but especially the titties. So it wasn't until I was about, 10 or 12 that I finally saw Die Hard in its original, the way it was meant to be. And I remember this because I was so shook when Tsunagi gets his head blown off in at the opening when Hans counts to 3 and just shoots him, and you see he's like blah, 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 blood all over the walls, and you actually see that. The version I used to watch as a kid, they always cut that out, and you just see blood on the wall in the background later on in a scene. I'd always be like, oh, Mike, that's where he got shot. So that's why I remember that. But yeah, Die Hard's always been there. It's Die Hard.
Why did they just only tame it down for the Brits?
This was a big thing in UK and American television, especially in the 90s and the 80s, when they would edit films for television, whether it to do with timing and the length of a film, so it fits into a certain amount of time they've got. But usually, they would air it before a time they thought certain things would be appropriate. So they'd cut certain sections out. Like, for example, in Die Hard, at the start, because it's the 80s, there is a random scene when the terrorists are clearing out the hotel, and there's just some woman with her boobs out who they drag in to a room, and it's like classic boobs out in the 80s.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah, which was a big thing in action films in the 80s. There'd always be a shot of some sex scene where a girl's boobs were able to fall out. But I never got to see them until I saw it in all its glory. But Die Hard, mate, I mean, it's kind of become one of those films. In a little bit, it annoys me a little bit that it kind of became a joke, in a sense of Friends did it when it was like the film that guys watch, where Joey had this running joke with Chandler about watching
Die Hard.
In Britain. I bet the British version's good. And then a show called, do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
They do the exact same joke almost every episode when the main character's obsessed with Die Hard. And like, I get it, it's funny, it's Die Hard. But I think people forget how good this film actually is.
Well, that's what I mean. For like an action film, which is what it is, it's actually quite incredible, because I think the action movies that came before it, especially in the 80s, was just your kind of one-liner Arnie, Sly Stallone, just kind of
these mountain men, these like indestructible mountain men.
But then I think with Die Hard, there was actual like focus on the characterization and the dialogue, and there was emotion behind it. Do you know what I mean? Some of the conversations between John McClane and what's that cop? I love him. The cop.
Al.
Yeah,
Al.
with Al, like it's some like heartfelt stuff. Do you know what I mean? When he's saying about his wife and pass this message on, there's just I think there's just a lot more to it. Even though there's action and fight sequences in it, it's very character driven as well.
I agree with you, mate. I think you've nailed it there. There's a lot going on in this film, and I think it's one of those perfect storms when it happens when a cast, a script, and a director get together at a certain time, and everything just works out for the best and works. Because I always say, nobody sets out to make a bad film. There's no directors or actors who want to make a bad film. They just happen. Films are hard to make, and sometimes every once in a while, a perfect storm happens when everything is just right. I mean, you look at this, like John McClane. Bruce Willis was the last person they went to for this. Because all the guys turned it down. Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, all those. Do you know the story about Frank Sinatra?
Yeah, well, is it the detective?
Yeah, so Frank Sinatra played not John McClane, but the novel that this is based on is a sequel to a novel called The Detective.
Yeah,
where the main character,
it's
the
Frank
film
Sinatra.
based, and Sinatra played it, and it was in his contract that if they ever make a sequel, they have to offer the role to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
So they have to go to Frank Sinatra first in hope that because he was a 68-year-old man, that he'd go, I'm all right, thanks, see you later. But they went to everyone for this, and then they settled on Bruce Willis, who at that point was moonlighting a big TV star.
Yeah, big TV. And apparently nearly wasn't able to do it because of that show. But
because moonlighting, yeah. But the other thing was, sorry, mate, go on.
But yeah, no, his co-star got pregnant, so they got like 12 weeks off the show. She got pregnant, so they basically filmed it in that gap.
Yeah, and they gave him a record-breaking $5 million to do the film, which at that time was insane.
That is insane.
Did a little bit of research, mate.
Yeah.
Did a bit of research, and I read an article from 1988 from the Chicago Inquirer. Right?
Nice.
And it was complaining about how the face of Hollywood is going to change forever because they've paid Bruce Willis $5 million to be in a film. And it's very interesting to see at the end them saying this will be a huge mistake, but hey, who knows? Maybe this stupid film Die Hard might be okay. We'll have to wait till next year to see it.
Yeah.
So, well, mate, that bet paid off.
Yeah,
I mean, this
100%.
huge. It turned Bruce Willis into who is now the laziest man in Hollywood. But there was a period of time when Bruce Willis was just
Smashing it.
incredible.
I mean,
Now he's just-
everyone fell in love with Bruce Willis.
I know, and I feel bad because I love Bruce, but these days, Bruce, just stop making films. If you care that little, just pack it in, mate. But anyway, that's my feeling on Bruce.
Mate, Rolling Stones, they keep going. Paul McCartney's still going.
Yeah, Paul McCartney cares. I saw Paul McCartney last year. He did 3 hours a set. He didn't even take a sip of water, mate. The whole show. He didn't take a single sip of water. He played about 3 instruments. It was amazing. Bruce Willis can't do an interview without being a cunt. I'm sorry, but like, Bruce Willis, I love Bruce, but you're a bad prick, Bruce. And like, this isn't me having a go. Google it. Google recent interviews with Bruce Willis. He just doesn't care.
I didn't know this, mate. I thought he was.
Mate, it's known. No, it's a well-known thing. Bruce is just miserable.
I don't like to know things like this because.
I know you don't. I know. It upsets you.
It does upset me, mate. In my eyes, Bruce is lovely. They were also gonna offer the role to Richard Gere.
Richard Gere, mate. I could see it though. I could see that. At the
could
time,
see
in the
that.
80s, yeah. At the time, I could see that.
But he wasn't very actiony, was he, though?
No, but neither was John McClane. I mean, Bruce Willis.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
That was the whole point. He's an everyman. He was meant to be a schlubby everyman. And that's why Bruce Willis works so well. When you first meet him, he's like smoking a fag. And he's not the sharpest of tools in the box. He's vulnerable. When he gets into a fight, he gets beaten up. The first fight he has in the film with the ho 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 now I've got a machine gun guy. Like normal films, he'd just walk in, shoot him in the back of the head and say something funny. Yeah. He pulls a gun at him, the guy knocks the gun out of the way and they have a fight for 5 minutes, kind of wrestling together. And at the end of the fight, Bruce Willis is knackered and he's sat on the floor and he's like, whoa, he can't breathe. That's the stuff that makes John McClane so interesting.
It does. Well said, mate. Well said. Should we talk about Alan Rickman?
Mate, you go for it. Take it away on.
Well, apparently this was his first film, wasn't it? Because they seen him in Dangerous Liaisons. They went to the theatre and he was in a play and they were like, that's our guy. But yeah, Alan
Rickman, I think 41, in this film. And that is just mental. That Alan Rickman's first ever performance on film is a 41-year-old man, and his first job is Hans Gruber, and is that one of the most iconic Scream villains ever. And I don't think anyone would argue with that. Like it's.
Well, I watched Die Hard 2 last night or the night before, I can't remember. And don't get me wrong, really enjoyed, like love Die Hard 2. But as it goes for like main criminal, he had nothing on Alan Rickman.
I know, and I like William Sadler, who plays I forget the guy's name, the baddie's name in that, but Robert Patrick turns up as well. The T-1000 turns up for a second in Terminator 2. From Terminator 2.
Oh yes, of course, yeah, he's part of the crew, isn't he?
I've got a real soft spot for Die Hard 2 because I think it is just the same film in a different location, but I actually think it's quite a well-made and good action film. It's just a shame that it has to follow up Die Hard and kind of.
I liked it. I don't know if I can go as far as saying I preferred it, but I kind of did prefer it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking, but fair enough.
I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit more. I don't know. I liked the chaos and the excitement of the airport. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe it was because I'd watched Die Hard again. And then Die Hard 2, and because it's so kind of enclosed, Die Hard, it's just in that building. There's not very many people, and then all of a sudden, it's like the whole of an airport is involved. It just felt like exciting.
It does, and it opens it up. I think my only problem with that film is that it's Die Hard 2. And it's the exact same thing happens to the exact same guy, and it's kind of, and they write it off with a funny line where it's like, how can the same thing happen to the same guy twice?
Yeah, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, I understand what, but I do agree with you. I think it's a very good action film.
Yeah,
I just think it's,
I would have preferred it if Alan Rickman was in it there as well. Same terrorists.
Hans, let's talk a bit about the terrorists and Hans Gruber. Let's get deep and dirty into it, mate, and what makes this film so good. As you were saying before, the characterizations, little things these characters do that I love. Like, Hans Gruber is such an intellectual and a gentleman, and he's like a snob, and he has little comments about Tagaki's suit that he got from like Savile Row in London, and he's like, I've got 2 of them myself.
Yeah.
And then there's the terrorist who can't stop eating chocolate bars.
Yeah, that's so funny. He grabs a little one on the sly.
Yeah, man. And they have these little weird character beats. And another character bit is when the SWAT team are going into Nakatomi Plaza to storm it, one of the SWAT guys cuts his arm on a thorn, and he's like, ow, what? And it's this really little weird character beat that kind of makes everything feel real, but also this high energy that it has that I just love.
And the dude and the chauffeur as well.
Argyle.
That guy.
Argyle. Yes, I know. This is the thing about the Die Hard. Like, these are the little moments that I don't know if they're in the script or if that's John McTiernan being an incredible director and finding stuff in the moment. But these little tiny touches are what turns this film into just being your generic, from being Commando to being Die Hard.
Yes.
Whereas in Commando, you've got this unstoppable guy who's always got the right quip and is able to do everything and fix every problem and allied and all that. Whereas this is little Johnson and Johnson. Like, where does that from? Do you know what I mean?
But they had no relationship to each other.
Yeah, no relation with Johnson and Johnson. And then they have a little bit of shit with each other in the helicopter when one's like, it's like motherfucking Saigon. And the other one, I was in grade school, dipshit, or something like that. But yeah, man, the character stuff in this is great. I also want to talk about Holly Gennaro, or Holly McLean, as she should be called. She's incredible in this. And what I find really interesting is that this is the 80s when you would think, you know, most 80s films, as I said before, boobs in films, women were there to be kind of set dressing, characters weren't really that well played out. It was more for the male action guy. In this, Holly is the reason they break up is because she's so much more successful than John.
Yeah, and he can't handle it.
He can't handle it that she's this classy, super successful woman who has got a super high position in this giant place. And like, that's the character they give her. And then she goes in and has a head-to-head with Hans, and she nails him.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, and then it's to the point that he's like, what's your name? And she's like, Gennaro, Ms. Gennaro. And then Hans is like, oh, Tsunagi knows how to hire people. She's a badass. Yeah. And usually it is, like I'm saying, the women were fucking treated like shit. And it was like, well, your whole purpose of being there is to kiss the lead at the end of the film.
Yes.
Where this, Holly's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, they gave her more meat to play with, and she was really,
good.
Yeah, she's awesome.
The other character I want to bring up, who, when I first saw this with my dad, I always remember my dad being like, I love this guy. Ellis. With the beard, man. Ellis, who tries to fuck over John. Cokehead Ellis, who has one of the best bits.
When he thinks he knows, the love. Bubby.
Yeah, Bubby, come on. And he's on the phone. He's like, John, they're going to kill me, John. Like, love him. So good. I think that scene is so good. I love it.
Oh, it's perfect. And the way Alan Rickman plays it as well, but like, kind of feeds him, plays him up. Humours him completely.
Getting his can of Coke. Let's sort him out.
And I'm sure when they, like, spoiler alert, but everyone should have watched this film. I'm sure when Alan Rickman shoots him, the other two criminals, they give each other money. So it was like there was always a bet on it or something.
Yeah, there is.
Loved that.
Yeah,
that's the thing. There's so many.
That's earlier. Sorry.
Oh, is it? Is it?
That's when they, because you can't Hans goes, I'll give you 3 seconds to count. So obviously,
yes,
where he's gone, I bet you that he'll cave in, and the other one's gone, nah, I bet we'll have to kill him. But it's such a little touch.
Yeah,
I don't think
I think that's another example, as you say, of this film, just with the attention to detail constantly throughout. There's just so many little things that you can watch this movie over and over again and pick up on, and as you say, it just makes that world even more believable and real.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot when you've got a film that's got, I don't know how many terrorists there are in it, but I could pick out
12,
at least
13.
I could at least pick out 4 or 5 of those guys purely based on little things they do in the film or their image. They're not just generic throwaway, what we call them red shirts. They're not just generic red shirts who are just there to get killed and be forgotten about. They all have these little character bits, whether it is in like Carl, for example, the long hair, blonde, big guy.
Yes.
Carl has a great little arc where you find out that his brother's dead, and he goes after him, and then he stops listening to Hans, and then he gets hung, and then he comes back for his last little.
Oh, that hanging scene with the chain.
I love
So
it.
good, so good.
Yeah, love it. This film, when I watched it today, talking about censorship, I literally watched this film an hour ago for the millionth time.
Mate, it's on right now.
Yeah, man. It made me long for the days of practical effects.
We're a huge fan of practical effects on Ready Steady Remake.
My most hated thing in the world is CGI gun shots, when it'll be like CGI blood splatter or just like a little CG black hole. There is something about squibs that just explode on people.
Squib, mate. In the kneecaps.
That's the bit I'm thinking of.
The kneecaps, and then he falls through the glass and his head lands on the top of the glass. Oh,
that is
so awesome, mate.
Oh, what a stunt.
So good.
Yeah, and I was watching this just going like, all the real explosions and stuff, he's just blowing up everywhere.
Well, apparently, Bruce Willis's first scene that he filmed was that jump off the top of the building, and he was like, why? And he did all his own stunts, didn't he? And he was like, why on earth did you make me do the most dangerous stunt first? And they were like, well, if you died, we wouldn't have to reshoot. Yeah, exactly. We didn't have to shoot too much more of the film. And he was like, fair enough.
Yeah, man. I mean, what else more can we say about Die Hard?
Apparently, I read that the costume department in this film had 17 versions of the vest at different stages throughout the film. So it was that's how specific they were with it. 17 vest tops.
A bugbear for my old man. So when I used to watch this as a kid, whenever the adverts would be on, so back in the day when this would be on ITV, there'd be adverts. There'd be a bit when John McClane comes out of one of his little, the air vents.
Yeah.
Vest was green, and my dad would always be like, this is bullshit. It was white a minute ago. Why is it green? And I'd be like, you know what, Dad, right? Like, you've actually got a point there.
Yeah.
Just kind of go backwards and forwards.
Sometimes it looks a bit brown as well. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's completely covered in blood and fucked. And the next thing, but do you know what? That's the movie magic. I don't care about that shit.
Yeah. Obviously, the costume department got a bit mixed up.
I know.
Got a bit mixed up.
Yeah, man. This film was amazing. I should also just do a quick shout out. There was a game in the 1990s called the Die Hard Trilogy on the PlayStation 1, where you got to play as all 3 separate Die Hard films. That was a good game. But that brings us into the sequels. Now, you said you like 2. What do you think of 3? Have you seen 3?
No, I haven't seen it, mate. Is that bad?
So no, it's fine. Die with a Vengeance is regarded as the second best of the Die Hard films. But it's very obvious to me, anyway, that it was never meant to be a Die Hard film. It was originally a film called Simon Says that somebody went, this is a good movie. Let's just make the main character John McClane. So, it's an interesting film. I really like it up until kind of the last 45 minutes. I think it kind of goes off track a little bit. But the other sequels after that, which are Live Free or Die Hard, Die Hard Forever, Another Day, I don't know what they're called. They're all so shit.
So bad.
So bad. I've mentioned
we don't even need to talk about them, but aren't they doing a 6th one next year?
All right, this is.
I've heard stuff.
This has been cancelled. This has been cancelled.
Oh, has it?
This only due to COVID, though.
Okay.
And this is how bad this movie is. This movie was going to be young John McClane in the 80s, right?
Played by who?
I don't know, but it was going to be bookended with Bruce Willis being like, "Do you remember when I was a kid and I did this?"
Oh, and then it go like a flashback.
Yeah, which just sounds like the worst idea I could ever imagine.
Mate, I could see you playing that.
Me too, mate. I'll run in there. What's happening? Yippee-ki-yay!
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
The red wine teeth. Well, I was partial to Roy Rogers myself. Guys, Fucking love Die Hard. There's
Yeah,
not
I
really a
loved
lot
it.
to say about it. I genuinely think it is a perfect film. One last thing we want to say.
A lot of
Before we
glass
get-
smashing as well.
A lot of glass smashing.
So
Before we get
much
on to
glass.
the remake point of the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about remakes of this film. This film began a genre in itself known as the Die Hard on a blank film. So we had Die Hard on a boat under siege. We had Die Hard on a mountain cliffhanger. We
Oh,
had
yeah.
Die Hard on Air Force One. We had Die Hard on what other Die Hard? Die Hard on a bus with speed. It became a
Yes.
whole genre of let's take a single place, terrorists, and an out of his depth, plucky character hero that has to save the day.
That's
And
so
they're
true,
still
mate.
making them today. They did White House Down, Die Hard in the White House.
So
which,
true.
if my big brother is listening to this, Chris, I remember when we were kids, one day he went to me, I've got an idea for a film, Rich. Best movie ever. And I'm like, go on. And he goes, Die Hard in the White House. And I was like, that's a good movie.
And then it got made.
Later, they only made the fucker, didn't they? I was like, Chris, mate.
Because the fuckers are listening in, that's why.
That was the idea of a little boy. It just goes to show how blank Hollywood is when it
But
comes
it's
to
true,
ideas.
mate. They've took the whole template of Die Hard and, as you say, just change the actor, change the cast, and just put it in a different location.
Die Hard on a thing, and they're
Mate,
still doing it.
It's still working and just shows you how awesome Die Hard is. Now, what's your thoughts on the fact that it's a Christmas film? Because this has been an argument for years and years and years.
Oh, this is what I feel.
Do
about
you
this
think it's a Christmas film?
I genuinely think that anybody who has the time to argue this is a cunt. That's all. I think go fuck yourself if you're going to sit there and go, Die Hard's a Christmas film. No, it's not. Do you know what Die Hard is? It's a great Christmas film. It's
It
a great action
really
film.
is, mate. It really is.
A film set at Christmas that ends with what's the song that ends with?
Is it Let It Snow or
Let It Snow. That ends with Let It Snow. There are several times when people say Merry Christmas. So yeah, if you want to watch it and say it's a Christmas film,
it's a Christmas film. It's 100% a Christmas film.
But if you want to go, I want to watch this film in the summer because it's an action film. Be my guest.
I think that's what people's arguments are. Because if you can be bothered arguing about it, it's because it got released in July. It didn't get released at Christmas.
Do you know what, mate? There are so many actual Christmas films that didn't get released in Christmas as well. That was what used to happen back in the day. People used to release films. Back in the day, Christmas cinema was not a thing. I mean, I think it was the Harry Potter films that kind of kicked off the idea that you can release a blockbuster at Christmas.
Oh, really?
You released your big films in the summer, regardless of whether or not it was a Christmas film or not. That was the way it works. But anyway, the argument is, in my opinion, is just nonsense. Listen, like for example, is Elf a Christmas film? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what? Is Lethal Weapon a Christmas film?
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's set at Christmas, so it doesn't matter. Is it a good film? Watch it whenever you want. Who cares?
Mate, you can watch it whenever. And do you know what? There's people out there who want to feel Christmassy all year long, and Die Hard is perfect for that.
Mate, Die Hard's like, I don't know. I just think it's become more exciting to go and have an argument about it.
On a separate side, unrelated note, do you know who did my head in a bit in the film?
Oh, go on.
That reporter guy.
Yeah, mate, he's fucking the same. Do you know who he is, don't you?
Who?
Do you remember Gremlins? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
This man has no dick. And he's the prick in fucking Ghostbusters as well.
Oh, so he's just a generic.
Have you got your phone there? Can you just check that just to make sure?
I'm filming, aren't I?
Hold on, I'm going to check it online just to make sure. I don't want to have said that and then everyone listening going, Rich, you fucking bellend. That's not true. The guy from Ghostbusters who's got no dick, he's the same guy. And he's in Die Hard 2 as well.
Yeah, he's in Die Hard 2. He's on the plane because he's got to keep 50 meters away from John McTiernan.
Yeah, man, he's the guy.
Yeah.
His name's William Atherton. Yeah, man, he's the guy. Yeah, I knew it. So pleased.
Maybe it's just the character who's playing. He did my head in.
Oh, mate, he's a famous dick. And then he turns up in the second. This is another reason with the second one I know he's made. They bring him back for the second one. And he turns up on the plane.
And he's a
like,
dick.
that next to Holly. And he's like, come on, man. That's what I'm saying with the second one. I like it, but there's things like that make me go.
No.
Although the second one has one of my favourite lines ever. When John McClane is flirting with this sexy airport lady, and he's asking for a fax to be sent over.
Oh,
And
is
she's
this
like,
when he goes like this with his ring and he's like,
"No, yeah." But she goes, "Is there anything else I can get?" And he goes, "Just a fax, man. Just a
just the
fax."
facts.
But
Yes.
he means a fax from a fax machine. Like us,
Yes.
fax. It's a good joke. I like the movie. All right, mate. Listen, we could be here all day.
We could be here all day. Should we move on to top 10?
Have you got a top 10? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you got one? All right, everyone. It's top 10 time. Tomo, play the tune.
Okay, guys. So I toyed between staying Christmassy or not with my top 10, and I've gone with nah. So, because I just couldn't resist, I've gone with top 10 greatest Bruce Willis movies.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, man.
I just thought let's give Bruce Willis a little bit of love.
Listen, I feel guilty. I slagged Bruce off earlier.
You did. You went in on Bruce.
I slagged Bruce off. Now, this is only because in recent years, I feel that Bruce is being lazy. And it's because I love him. It comes from a place of love, Bruce. Bruce, a place of love. I know. All right, mate. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, you ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Bum, bum, bum. In number 10 for Bruce Willis movies, we've got Looper.
My memory's cloudy. It's a cloud. Because my memories aren't really memories. They're just one possible eventuality now. And they grow clearer or cloudier as they become more or less likely. But then they get to the present moment and they're instantly clear again. I can remember what you do after you do it. And it hurts.
Remember Looper?
I really like Looper.
I love Looper.
I think Looper is probably... This is interesting because Kevin Smith, the director Kevin Smith, famously did a very public story about how difficult it was working with Bruce Willis. And then many years later, did an interview with Rian Johnson, the director of Looper. And Rian Johnson spoke about what an absolute dream it was to work with Bruce Willis. And I figured it out. This is the situation. Bruce Willis will turn up to work on time and he will put the effort in if he cares about the film.
Okay.
And then something like Looper, which there is a scene when Bruce Willis,
Sean Connery.
There is a scene when Bruce Willis murders a little child. He shoots
Yes,
a kid
in the head.
Yeah, and he has this real emotional moment. And I'm like, Bruce, you care, mate. You go and watch something like Red 2, which I'm sure Bruce Willis got paid millions of dollars for, and you may as well be watching paint dry on a wall.
Yeah.
Just a miserable old man. And then go and watch the press junket for Red, when this poor bastard who works for like fucking Channel 4 has to go in and interview Bruce Willis, and he sits down and he goes, "Hi, Bruce. I just wanted to say, I love the film." And Bruce goes, "Hey, did you?" He goes, "Yeah." And Bruce goes, "Don't bullshit, man." And you're like, "Bruce, what are you doing, man?"
He knows that it was lame.
He does. I wish, listen, and it's an effort. I wish we could put a clip of that in here, but I don't know where. If I find the clip, I'll send it to you.
Send me the clip and I'll put it in.
Bruce legit goes, "Hey!" Anyway.
But what about that kid in Looper? He's awesome.
The Akira boy.
I'd like to, I haven't done this top 10. I want to watch Looper again because I don't think I've watched it since I seen it first time round. Yeah. And 2, I want to see a picture of that kid now. And like, who is he? Is he still acting? Because he was really creepy and cool.
Yeah. I watched it with my wife, my girlfriend recently. And I was really surprised. She loved it. And I thought this is a film I don't think I think Looper is one of those films that he... Yeah, because I thought there was timey-wimey stuff. It can be confusing. It might be... And also, it's very much a film of two halves. It kind of tricks you into being one thing and turns to something else. But no. So
I remember when watching it just being utterly, like, intrigued and just and just constantly going, what's going on? Like, I'm wanting to know. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
I
number
still
10.
think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's makeup, Bruce Willis' face is a bit funny looking, but that's just whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, next movie.
Number 9 is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
They're starting.
How you doing?
All right.
John McClane, NYPD.
Are you all right?
Yes. Laundry day.
What can I do for you, Lieutenant?
Has it been quiet like this all morning here?
Well,
Except for that big explosion a couple hours ago. No, I mean, have you...
Yeah, man, Die Hard with a Vengeance. The reason it works so well is because of the buddy cop element. Between Bruce and Samuel L. Jackson, their whole backwards and forwards, and the whole thing that Samuel L. Jackson's a bad racist and he has to get over this kind of working with a white guy thing. It's fun. It's good. I just think it falls down towards the end. It's one of them.
Okay, number 8, a personal favorite of mine. Death Becomes Her.
We have to talk.
Why don't you have another drink and go to bed?
You'd like that, wouldn't you, Madeline? You'd like to see me drink myself into an early grave. That is not going to happen. By God, that is not going to happen. You are not going to take my money!
What are you talking about?
When was the last time you worked, Madeline? I mean, a real job. Anything you had left, you owed me a long time ago. Your face owed me. You changed your hair?
What an eye. Don't wait up.
All right.
Mate.
No bullshit. I saw Death Becomes at the cinema, mate.
Yes.
So I thought I was a little kid. I didn't realise until years later
that it was Bruce Willis. Same.
Didn't know, mate. Didn't know. And I knew who Bruce Willis was, but he
Yes.
is so pathetic in that film.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Oh.
And, mate, I haven't seen that film in ages. I watched it about a year ago. It was on telly. It's a fucking good movie, man.
It's such a good movie. Them women are just unreal in it.
I think it's kind of been forgotten a little bit, though. It doesn't seem to have... I think maybe because when I watched it, it's good and it's really well acted. And there's some really good special effects in it. But maybe just the story's not there enough. I don't know, but I do feel it's been forgotten about.
I think we should do an episode on it next year. I think let's bring it back and...
It would not surprise me if by the next year somebody's already announced a remake of that shit. Because that is a film that I'm genuine is ripe for a remake.
Oh,
That is
it's...
good.
I love that film. I love it.
Yeah, the big thing was when Goldie Hawn steps out of the fountain and she's got the hole in her belly from the shotgun.
And you can see through it.
Straight through, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's a great bit when,
And the neck, the twisted neck with Meryl Streep. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, but that's man. That's
And
a
then
good
at the
movie.
very end, when they're at his funeral and they're crying and all their faces pouring off. Yeah, it's so good, so good.
Yeah.
Right,
Fat
number
suit Sorry, go on.
yes,
Eating ice cream. Go on.
number 7, 12 Monkeys.
James Cole, cleared from quarantine.
Thank you. You two wait outside.
He's got a history, Doctor. Violence, antisocial sex, repeated violations of the Permanent Emergency Code, insolence, defiance, disregard of authority, doing 25 to life.
I don't think he's gonna hurt us. You aren't gonna hurt us, are you, Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir.
12 Monkeys is a funny one. So Terry
With
Gilliam's
the
12
old
Monkeys.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, man. It was the first film that made people go, shit, is Brad Pitt a good actor? And it kind of began that thing of Brad Pitt realizing that maybe I'm not a boring, generic leading man, and my greatest work will come from me doing these more outlandish character roles. But as a film itself, I think when I saw it at the time, this was late 90s. I didn't get it, did not understand it. It went over my head. I didn't get it. I didn't see it until years later at university. And I was like, oh, this is a good movie. I like this. This is good fun. But I haven't seen it in a long time.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Isn't it in like a mental asylum?
It does. Yeah, Bruce Willis is from the future where the world has been wiped out by a deadly virus.
Okay. Interesting.
So he's a prisoner who gets sent back in time because the only thing that's left of the modern world is this graffiti of the 12 Monkeys. So they send Bruce Willis back in time to find out what happened, but they send him to the wrong time period.
That's
so it's really
it.
fun. But it's Terry Gilliam, so it's wild and it's out there. It's good. It's really good. Strong
Yeah,
film.
I might have to watch that again. Number 6, Sin City.
It's nothing. Barely a flesh wound. On your feet, old man.
Roar! Give it up.
Let the girl go.
You can't do a goddamn thing to me, Hardigan. You know who I am. You know who my father is. You can't touch me, you piece of shit cop. Look at you. You can't even lift that cannon you carry.
Sure I can.
Sin City, man. I really, really, really loved Sin City. When
I
saw
enjoyed
it.
Sin City. Again, another film that I need to watch again.
Yeah, I loved it. And then the problem with it was, like, I mean, I loved it when I saw it.
Well, because it was beautifully like it was just like a graphic novel. Like it was stunning to watch.
There was nothing like it at that
Yeah.
time. I mean, and it was so striking. I remember seeing the trailers for it and being
The
like,
black,
"Wow."
red, white, like the colours.
Yeah. And I'm a comic book guy, but I hadn't read any of this. I've since read them all. But back when I first saw Sin City, I hadn't read a single issue of Frank Miller's Sin City. And then when I picked the book up, and it is literal translation page to screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best thing is the casting choices, though. I mean, in the role of Hartigan, which is this kind of dirty Harry, old grizzled noir detective, Bruce Willis is perfect for it, and he nails it. And I love that film. And it's such a shame that the sequel came out far, far, far too late. I mean, it was over 10 years.
Oh,
And
was it?
Yeah. So a lot of the buzz had gone from it. And I was really excited to see the sequel. And it's shit.
Oh, mate. Well, I mean, how can... Don't get me wrong, it seems to be a bit of a pattern with most films that the sequels are just kind of fall flat. But, like, is it because of a change in director, do you think? Or, as you say, too much time has passed that they've forgotten what it was that...
That was it. Too much time had passed. And I also think that imagery has become less... exciting because we'd seen that sort of stuff before. Frank Miller went on to a film called The Spirit, which is a Will Eisner comic that he kind of ripped off. It was his own style, but decided to film it in the exact same style as Sin City, and that film's a disaster. So I think people were kind of like not excited by that style anymore, and too much time had passed. And to be honest with you, the actors aren't as good, and the story's not as good. They chose the most translatable stories from the comics to the first film. It's just not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sin City 1, though.
Sin City 1, great. Mate, by the way, just to interrupt, I just keep getting little flashes of Bruce in the corner of my
He's
eye.
lurking behind you.
He's just on the old screen. Mate.
Bruce looks good
He's
as well.
ripped in it, mate. He's so ripped.
Like, don't get me wrong, though. Nowhere near as ripped as what other Hollywood icons at the time in action films look like. I mean, he looks more like a healthy guy who played football at high school. And
a very healthy guy.
Well, he looks like a guy who's in shape. I mean, he's not like a schlub.
No, I know, yeah.
Arnold or fucking Sly at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Mate. Number 5. Possibly, I'm actually gonna say this might be in my top 5 films, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about this. The fact that it's in my maybe top 10. Top 10.
Go on.
Armageddon.
All it says Harry Stamper Oil on the rig. You will not disobey my rules. You got that?
Yeah, I do got it.
Right now, I need to hear 5 words from you. I'll never do that again.
I'm a fool. That was idiotic. I mean, that was stupid. I'm an idiot. I know what name's on the sign. I'm not.
What's going on?
What's going on? Well, I screwed up. I'm a little edgy.
How long you work for me?
5 wonderful years.
In 5 years, you have never apologized to me this quickly. Something's going on here, and I'm going to find out what it is.
No. Well, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm trying to learn from the man. What would Harry do? I'm at a loss for words.
I love Armageddon so much, mate.
All right.
I can't get enough of it.
All right.
Don't get me wrong, it's long, but I love it.
I have not seen Armageddon since I saw it at the cinema.
Oh,
I saw it
you've
at the cinema.
seen? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
I
seen.
saw it at the cinema, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
But now I think back on Armageddon, and I'm like, is there a scene in Armageddon when one of like the pilots just has a gun on the spaceship, and he opens a little box and like pulls a gun out, and he's like, "Y'all better get down."
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, I think it's the guy who works for NASA. Is it
William Fichtner. Yeah, it's Bill Fichtner.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember the movie
because he doesn't trust them because they're all like a bunch of
gun on this spaceship.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I remember there's a very famous scene where Liv Tyler gets an animal cracker shoved down her fanny at one bit.
Oh, mate, you've got to ruin it, haven't you?
That happens. That's a bit. I've seen it. When he's playing
it's not shoved down. He just gently takes it. It's a very romantic scene.
And then he tucks it down her drawers. Where's that going?
You ruined Armageddon. That was a very emotional, lovely scene.
It's not. No. I won't have that. I won't have that. It's not. No, Tomo.
Yeah,
no.
but you've got a perverted brain, mate. So
I'm saying the whole film. No, you saying the film is an emotional, like, beautiful. No,
mate,
it's not.
I've cried many times to Armageddon.
Yeah, because you were a child. Watch it now as an adult.
This is what I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I watched this film.
No.
I reckon I could probably watch this film about 30 times, mate.
So at the end, when spoiler alert, when Harry, his name's Harry, isn't it? Because he's like, Harry, don't do it! Yeah. And he's banging on the glass.
Yeah.
And
so Ben Affleck gets the short straw, and he's meant to be the one.
Yeah.
He's meant to be the one who blows up the meteorite to save the world.
Armageddon opens with a shotgun shootout on an oil rig because Bruce Willis finds his daughter shagging Ben Affleck.
Yes!
Don't give me that shit. This is a terrible movie. One of the best things I've heard about Armageddon. No, it's a great movie in the sense that Michael Bay makes these huge, ridiculous, exploitative, nonsensical films.
That's what for me. That's my that's what movies are for me. Do you know what I mean? Just so far fetched and
all right. Listen, you ain't ever going to see a film like ever again, mate, because that is 90s. Like, no, you will never see a film like Armageddon ever again.
I know, but it's okay because I love it.
One of the guys gets Steve Buscemi
he rides
sickness.
He space sickness, and he rides the
nuclear like a bomb,
like a cowboy. Yeah,
and start shooting it. Oh, listen, Ben Affleck put it best when talking about Armageddon. One question, can you answer me? Surely, it is quicker to teach an astronaut how to use a drill than it is to teach a driller to be an astronaut. That is all I'm saying. All right, that is.
But obviously, mate. But that would not make a good movie, would it?
I don't know. I'd watch that. But I understand what you're saying.
The ridiculousness of Armageddon is what I love. It's in my top 10. I'm putting it out there.
I'm slating it in the sense of like as a critique on cinema, going, this is a goofy nonsense. But I can't lie. Every single time I've seen Armageddon, I have thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's space. It's space. I
know.
Right, moving on. We're going to do an episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%. Number, where are we up to? Number 4. Oh, Unbreakable.
Never taken ill. 75%?
Well, that's not certain at all, is it? That's hole number 1. I'm going to be extremely skeptical about all this.
About all what?
I'm assuming you've never been injured. Would I be wrong in that assumption?
Dad's been injured.
Is the child correct?
Yes, sir. In college, I was in a car accident.
Was it serious?
He couldn't play football anymore.
That's hole number 2. That's a big one.
I love Unbreakable. I mean, I proper love it. Like, I proper love it. I think it might be Shyamalan's best
Shyamalan.
film. It's difficult. It's tough to decide because I think Sixth Sense is a masterpiece, like a genuine masterpiece. And if that's not on the list, I'd be surprised. But Unbreakable came out before the superhero revolution when the cinematic landscape is dominated by superhero films. And not only is this a superhero film, but this was a film that tried to break down the genre and look at it from the what is now the popular, look at it from a realistic angle. Like Chris Nolan tried to do, like Zack Snyder has tried to do. But Shyamalan was doing that shit in 2001 or whenever it came out. I think it's a really well made, well put together, well thought out, well acted, beautiful film. However, he fucking ruined it, didn't he? Shyamalan fucking ruined it due to his own arrogance and hubris.
With what?
Have you seen Glass?
Well, Split.
Tremendous.
Incredible.
Loved it.
Horrendous, mate.
Glass. He's a big boring pile of glass, mate.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It makes good actors look like horrendous in it.
This is what I think the problem is with Glass. If Glass, I think that Glass must have been written straight after Unbreakable. If it isn't, there's no excuse. But if Glass came out in 2003, I think I would have been like, this is a great film. I love this. The ideas. You cannot do what Glass did in the modern world of cinema. Every idea that was in it, I've seen before, and I've seen it done better. The whole subverting the genre thing, it's a lovely idea, but it is not working. And spoiler alert, and you know what, I don't care, because hopefully this will put you off from seeing this terrible film. Do you know what happens to the great character of Bruce Willis at the end of Glass? What's his name? David
Dunn.
David Dunn.
Yeah.
He drowns in a puddle.
It's so bad.
An unknown figure, just a hand, who turns out to be a secret organization that forever has been covering up superheroes. Shit, twist end, like, it's terrible.
It's so bad.
But this brilliant character gets shit on in such an awful way. It's just sad.
Yeah, it is. It's
sad.
really bad.
It's like Tom Hagen not being in Godfather 3. It's like, you don't fucking do that to such a great character.
And it's just like, how did you get Split? Split was so good.
Mate, Split was, I don't know, maybe it's all down to James McAvoy that Split was so good. But Split was small, and I don't know.
Yeah, they just didn't know how to bring all of them people together.
So confusing. Shyamalan, of all the directors working in Hollywood, confuses me so much because he has done films I think are genuinely brilliant. I mean, like, brilliant films. I think The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are masterpieces. And then I like The Village. I like Signs. I think they've got.
I love Signs. Yeah.
Signs is very, very heavy-handed in its religious allegory, but as a film, I like Signs. It has one of the best jump scares of all time ever when they're watching the home video and the alien just walks out. Yeah, it's brilliant. Like,
yeah,
I love that
Signs. Really good.
And then this is the same guy who made Avatar: The Last Airbender. That blows my mind. I don't know how you can do that. That is like going to a shop
again,
like that.
ruin that film.
Yeah, it's like going to the greatest baker who you go to every day because every morning he makes you the best bread. So you turn up one day and he goes, here you go. It's the best bread in the world. You turn up the second day, you put your hands out, and he just takes a ladle of diarrhea and just slops it into your hand and goes, eat that, dickhead. Like, that is M. Night Shyamalan's films for me. Look, I just don't know what to say. Yeah.
I know. I don't think I can forgive him after the Last Airbender because me and you were huge. Do you remember them days, mate?
I'm surprised I'm not sat here with an arrow drawn on my body head.
No, mate.
I fucking love that shit.
We watched them. How many seasons of that was it? Three. Just 3 seasons of Aang, and we just loved every single one, didn't we?
If anyone is listening to this who has not seen the animated series of The Last Airbender, honestly, it's really good. And I'm talking
so good.
As a grown-ass adult man, it's one of the best fantasy creations I think of all time.
I mean, we were in our 20s, weren't we? We watched it.
Yeah, but I hold that world up with worlds like Middle-earth and the Star Wars universe.
Fire.
Yeah, when it just comes to creation, world building and creations, I just think it's so detailed and imaginative. And M. Night Shyamalan took it all And like I said,
I
just
ruined it. I know, it was horrendous.
It's like, anyway,
Moving
what's
on. Next up in number 3 is Pulp Fiction.
But man,
Butch.
Butch. Where's Zed? Zed's dead,
Coodridge.
baby.
Butch Coodridge was his name.
I don't know what Butch's last name is. I just know him as Butch. I know Butch is Butch, man. Butch, as Butch and Esmeralda. Butch and Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. I think is it? I think it is. I think it might be my favourite Pulp Fiction story. You know.
Yeah.
I think it is. As much as I love all the banter and the stuff, and like as iconic as Uma Thurman and John Travolta's dance is, I remember.
And the
just seeing
burger.
I remember seeing Pulp Fiction for the first time and just going, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I
When
know.
these two guys are, I've got ball gags in their mouths, and they're in a shop about to be raped by a cop and the owner of the shop. It is the most bizarre turn of events. And Bruce Willis is so good in this. I
He
think,
looks awesome.
I think it was meant to be Mickey Rourke.
I played that part.
I think he offered it first to Sylvester Stallone and
Yeah.
slight it down because of the Rocky, obviously, thing. And then he offered it to Mickey Rourke. But this was when Mickey Rourke was being a mental boxing off his head bastard.
Yeah.
Before Mickey came back with Sin City, ironically enough.
Oh, okay.
But then he went to Bruce. And I think Bruce, like, nails this
Mm.
role. I think he nails it. There's a real, like, it's burning intensity in Bruce in this film. Doesn't have a lot of lines in it compared to all the other chatty characters in famous.
Because he is a chatty character, isn't he? But you're right. He doesn't say
famous. It's Tarantino. Everyone in Tarantino's films has got a monologue to say every 5 minutes.
But yeah,
Bruce,
you're right. He doesn't get much, does he?
He listens and he's quiet.
Yeah.
And he speaks a lot and he just gets the job done. I really like Butch and it's great characterization. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Feel
So
that
yeah,
shit.
number 3 and number 2, Sixth Sense.
He loved it more than anything else. And then one night he found out that he made a mistake with one of them. He couldn't help that one. And he can't stop thinking about it. He can't forget. Ever since then, things have been different. He's not the same person that he used to be. And his wife doesn't like the person that he's become. They barely speak anymore. They're like strangers. And then one day, Malcolm meets this wonderful little boy. Really cool little boy. Reminds him a lot of the other one.
All right. We need to talk. It's about time we brought it up. We got to talk about this shit and get serious.
Okay, come on.
What the fuck? I mean, what the fuck is going on with Bruce Willis's hair in this film? Now, listen on. Listen on. If you're watching this, you are familiar with my current style. Right. Bruce Willis is a bald man. And not only is Bruce Willis a bald man, but he's an incredibly attractive bald man who pulls off baldness.
Yeah,
like a mother.
he looks good.
So, Bruce, and I'm asking you again, Bruce, I know you're watching.
Bruce, listen up, mate.
Why are you wearing that ridiculous wig in this thing? That's what I want to know. Right. Because
Give us a little ring and let us know, why did you agree to do that?
One, he is amazing in it. Bruce is so good in that film, right?
Mate, he's the best dead man I've ever seen. Spoiler.
Mate, like, obviously we know what number one is the show. But, like, this list you've given me here, I think I very rarely, I think I agree with this list, like 100%.
Yeah, it's a good list. It's a very good
My
list.
order as well of what I'm going through his best performances are, I think I agree with this list. He is so good in Sixth Sense, and that film is so good. But every time I watch it, I'm like, Bruce, what is on your head, mate?
Mate, do you know what? Like, until you brought it up, I've never thought about his hair. But no, but I honestly swear down.
You've never seen Sixth Sense and gone, what is going on with that?
Swear down, mate. I've never thought twice about his barnet.
Tell me you've got some way. Have you got a screen in front of you? Can you please Google Bruce Willis's hair in Sixth
I know
Sense?
what I can visualize it.
It folds over like a fish's fin on his head. It's like he's got a fish fin on his head, like Shamu. Like Shamu's cold. Do you know when an orca gets sad? That's what Bruce Willis's hair. Sad orca style. Oh man.
When an orca gets sad.
I'm gonna do an Instagram post tomorrow. I'm gonna show people and go, have you ever seen this? And it reminds you of this. Fucking
Mate, that is fucking genius.
Anyway.
But apart from his Shamu hair,
yeah,
it's a great movie, mate.
Do you remember when you saw Sixth Sense?
Yeah, I went to cinema to see it, mate.
Did you know he was a ghost when you saw it?
No, I didn't know. It wasn't spoiled for me. But I know for a lot of people, and I went with all like my mates as well. But none of us had seen it, so it was like it was a big deal because it was was it released around Halloween?
It was 1999, I think.
Yeah.
All I know was I was too young to see it at the cinema. That's what I know about it.
No, well, because I would have been.
I think it was a 12. I think, then you would have been 12, and I would have been 11.
Yeah. Because
So
I remember it. We were all like nervous because I was little. I was tiny when I was that age. Still higher. But yeah, I remember being like a bit nervous. Went to the Plaza Cinema. Shout out to the Plaza Cinema.
Big love to the Plaza Cinema.
Huge love to the Plaza Cinema. If also, while we're on it, if you need something to do over Christmas, go to the Plaza Cinema because they're showing all the old movies because there's no one's releasing any films at the moment. But yeah, go and support them because they're a community-based cinema and they need.
For all our UK listeners, they're based in Crosby in Liverpool. So all of our Indian listeners.
Oh yes.
Shout out, so.
Shout out to our Indian listeners. Thank you so much for listening to the show.
Listen, if you're in India and you're listening to this, it's happening. We really appreciate it.
What is happening?
Turns out we've got a fan base in India. So, guys,
huge fan base.
I don't know a lot about India. My dad went once. My mom went last year. They both said it was lovely, and I've read the Jungle Book. That's all I know.
Mate, maybe one day in the future we'll go over there and do a live podcast show.
I'd love to do that.
Should we do that? Should we do
I'd love that. I'd love it so much.
But anyway, we've gone off on a tangent. But yeah, I went to the Plaza Cinema. I was a little bit nervous about getting knocked back. Didn't, and watched Sixth Sense. Didn't know what the big reveal was, and it was awesome.
Go on.
But for me, it was the constant reveals, of the ghosts, like them like shock moments of the appearance of the ghosts and like the bloody head and the tension the building and that kid so good. So
what I remember about Sixth Sense was, like I said, I was too young to see it, and at the time when it came out, all anybody said was, there's a big twist in it. There's a big twist in it. So it doesn't take a lot to figure out a film where a kid can see ghosts. What would the big twist be? So I remember going, when I first saw it on VHS, we'd rented it, kind of knowing, it's obvious this guy's good. But what blows me away about Sixth Sense, and now in the recent times I've seen it, forget that Bruce Willis is a ghost, right? That is not that's a great twist, but the film doesn't hinge on that twist.
Oh,
that
no.
that twist isn't what makes the film work. For me, the most powerful scene in that film is just before the twist, and it's the bit when Cole, the little boy, sat in the car and tells his mom that there's a woman's been murdered and he can see ghosts, and that a mom, and Nanny's sorry because she keeps moving the bumblebee pendant and it's the ghost of her mom. And even talking about it now, I'm getting like, shivers. I just think it's such a beautifully well done thing. What's her name? Come on.
The mum.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm blanking, mate. Hereditary, Muriel's Wedding.
What's her name?
Begins with fucking hell. It begins with a T. Is it? Anyway.
We'll come back to it.
It'll pop into my head in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible film.
And you really, you genuinely really feel for the kid as well. Like it's so, like it's horrible that he's like experiencing it. Like he really gets across to you that he's suffering and he's struggling with this, weight of what's happening to him, and it's hard to watch sometimes, isn't it?
It is, and Haley Joel Osment is struggling with his weight now. So it's. Haley Joel Osment's fat. That's the joke. All right, deal with it. I'm sorry about that. That was fucking low blow. Haley Joel Osment actually really like you were in this last season of What We Do in the Shadows, and you were very funny and you were a talented actor. I feel that a lot.
Yeah, he was also in that one with Zac Efron.
McDonald's. All right. That's enough of that.
No, the Ted Bundy one.
Oh, the Zac Efron one, like Madman, Mad Killer.
When Ted Bundy, who plays Ted Bundy.
I know, what was it called? Like Seriously Deranged and Deluded or something like
yes, that was what it was called. Yeah. He's in that and he's very good. Anyway, moving on. Number one.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Die Hard.
It's John McClane. Yeah, man.
Should we discuss it in detail again?
Let's discuss it again in detail. It's very good. It's very good. And Bruce Willis is now a joke. All right.
Right, mate. That was it. That was my Tomo's Internet Top 10.
A killer top 10. That was a good one. We got a lot out of that.
Yeah. Right, what's up next? Oh,
What's next?
It's remake time.
Oh, get ready, get steady for a Ready Steady Remake.
Yeah! Is it me first?
Yeah,
man. Thank you also. We've had quite a few of our listeners send in their remakes.
Yeah.
To Instagram. I've had some messages on Twitter.
Tony Collette! Come on, mate.
Yeah, we've had, our listeners have been sending in their remakes, so thank you so much for that, guys. Thank you, listeners. So we'll do once again a little announcement this week because they're going on the leaderboard.
Tomo has done the leaderboard like an old school computer game.
Yeah, so mate.
You go on the leaderboard and that goes on Instagram and you get shout outs and stuff, and we'll do like a video being like, what's happening? You've won.
Yeah. But moving on, it's time for me to do my remake.
All right, mate, hit me remake.
Now, I'm not going to lie, I struggled a little bit this week. I didn't know.
What you do? Die hard on a plane, die hard on a mountain, die
hard on a bus.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It was a nightmare.
So, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I keep saying that, don't I? Y'all ready for this?
Did. That was a song.
It was. Okay, so it's Christmas Eve. It's in London town.
Oh.
And we're at the Shard.
Okay.
Yeah? Big old Shard in London, yeah.
Yeah.
And John McClane, played by Taron Egerton.
I do like Taron Egerton.
I like Taron Egerton. Who is a drag queen.
Already we go in classic Tomo territory. We've gone off the rails straight away. Let's keep going and see what happens.
Yeah. Taron Egerton, with his musical background, is playing a drag queen, which I think he'd look absolutely fantastic.
Oh, he's a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man. Heels and makeup and a big old wig. He look unbelievable. And he goes, his drag queen name is Holly Slay. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And basically, he is heading to the Christmas Eve office party at the Shard to perform her infamous one-woman drag show to the guests.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden, Hans Gruber, played by Sacha Baron Cohen.
That I'm into.
Yeah.
Bruno. Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen and his motley crew turn up with his team of terrorists to take over the Shard, to basically rob the Shard of all its shardness. Whatever's
from the Shard.
Yeah, get the big shard from the Shard.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand and what they don't realize is that the drag queen in there performing is an ex-cop. And so, in full drag,
yeah,
Holly Slay takes down all of the terrorists with a full tap dance sequence and a gun shootout, and saves the day from Hans Gruber. And this remake is called Die Hard and Don't Fuck It Up.
Die Hard and Don't Fuck It Up. So hang on, mate. Let me look at this. So it's basically Die Hard.
Yeah.
But in London.
Yeah.
Some unknown reason, Taron Egerton is a drag act that not only saves the day, but also does musical numbers throughout.
Yes.
I am sold. I'm sold. I'd watch the fuck out of it. The thing is, I actually would though.
Right.
Like, I'm not even. That's not like me being like a joke. I'm not going like, oh mate, that's a stupid idea.
And can
I'm
you
like,
imagine Sacha Baron Cohen as well being I think he'd nailed the criminal as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's.
We're giving like a musical number back to him. Do you know what I mean? Back to Taron.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This would never ever get made in a million years. No one would ever make it.
Never.
Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they ain't got the fucking balls.
Yeah, because they can't handle it. Because they're not brave enough.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I feel it. See, like, at first, I was like, I get what she's doing. She's going to go with straight up English take on it. And we'll just try and play the same story because they're like in Friends. I bet the British version is good.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going
to do it is, because it's got drag queens in it.
But you went an extra mile.
Yes.
And when I'm not just going to settle on an English version, I'm going to throw a little bit of pageantry in there.
Oh,
a little bit
of class, babe.
A little bit of the fucking West End stuff.
Bit of West End, bit of glitz and glam.
Sylvia
young and I can play the spoons.
Oh, God, that's for everyone who went to the Silver Young Drama School. Mate, nailed it.
Right. Go on.
All right.
What you got for me?
I'm going to go to my little book that I've got.
Oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
That's all. This is the issue, man. Right, as we said before, I've decided from now on with Ready Steady Remake that I'm actually going to do my best to approach this from the eyes of Hollywood and what is the relevance and could this actually get made and how
like a genuine pitch.
Well, yeah, I think in this modern age, how the hell would you actually do it? Because I was thinking you can't remake this shit. However, you look back and in the last few years, there have been remakes of what you would consider untouchable films. For example, they remade RoboCop. They remade Ben-Hur. They tried to do it. So I'm thinking, genuinely, how can I fucking sort this out? So this is what we're going with, right? Set in Los Angeles, Nakatomi Plaza, pretty much the way it is in the movie.
Yeah.
But instead of opening on John McClane on the plane, right, we open on Holly Gennaro on the plane instead.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And Holly Gennaro is an ex-Marine who fought in Afghanistan, who then went on to become a cop in New York City.
Nice.
Problem is, She still suffers from PTSD. And also, with the modern age of how it deals with the feminine problems of a woman trying to make it in a male-dominated business. She gets shit all the time. But it's a modern world. Problem is, she's a bit forceful, a bit heavy-handed. And Gennaro is
Got big hands, mate.
Got big hands. She's played by my actress of the moment, right? The actress called Betty Gilpin. Now, Betty Gilpin, she was the lead in a show called Glow on Netflix about...
I know, Glow.
But she was in a film this year that the film itself is okay, but her performance in the film might be my favourite performance from an actress in the last 10 years. I think she is so good in The Hunt that she is so good in that film that she turned this shitty little movie into, like, I couldn't take my eyes. I think she's amazing. I can't heap enough praise on this actress.
Are you obsessed with her, mate?
A little bit. She's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. So all that goes for her. But like she's got she does weird shit. All right.
Yeah.
She takes
stuff that you don't expect.
Mate, she does. It reminds me of when I first used to watch Tom Hardy, who's become a bit of a cliche now. When I first saw Tom Hardy acting stuff, I'd be like, this guy's got something going on. Like, he makes wild and weird choices and does weird shit. She does that, and I think she's very watchable. So she is my Holly Gennaro.
Of course.
Just got to Nakatomi Plaza to make up with her boyfriend, John McClane.
Okay.
Who is a very capable, intellectual guy who's becoming head of Nakatomi Plaza, played by Paul Dano. Do you know Paul Dano?
Okay, yes, I know Paul Dano.
Played by Paul Dano. And Paul Dano is struggling with the fact that although he gets a lot of success from his work life, he doesn't get a lot of appreciation back in New York City because he's kind of a pussy. And, you know, it's one of them. It's a struggle for him. So this is, and then it kind of plays it all the same. Daniel Bruhl, the German actor himself, plays Hans Gruber in my film just because he's a real German.
Yeah.
He might be Austrian. That's kind of it. And I thought I need a real, like, masterclass in action to pull this off. So who is the best action director working today in Hollywood? Gareth Evans, who directed The Raid, Raid 2. And did you watch a show recently called Gangs of London?
No, I didn't see it. Was it good?
Gangs of London was the best thing one of the best things on the telly this year. And there was an episode in that show, episode 5, about a siege on a house. And the whole episode is just some terrorists trying to break into a house. So I'm thinking, if I turn up to my studio and go, listen, man, I'm going to tick some boxes off. I've got the greatest action director working today who's got experience doing siege stories in a single building. But get on this, I'm going to gender swap the main character because I'm woke as fuck, mate. I'm hardcore Democratic motherfucker. I've got Kamala Harris on my shoulder and Joe Biden on the other one. I'm going in strong.
Yes.
So I'm going, I want female lead. I want weak snivelling John McClane. Only weak physically. My version of John McClane by Paul Dano. He's a clever man. He's got his own things in this modern world that we live in. But
is she gonna? What I want to know, is she gonna do all her own stunts?
Well, if you watch The Hunt, and Glow.
Yeah.
This girl, when I call her a bitch, I'm not calling her a bitch. I'm saying it in that sense of this bitch got skills.
The bitch got skills, yeah.
Like, mate, she is like a serious physical actor.
Mate, do you know what? I would love to see that film.
And mate, she would look unreal in a vest. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what I always say, mate. If I was an action hero or some kind of superhero, I always throw the vest on, don't I, mate? I throw the vest on, the black skinny jeans, the boots, mate.
Mate, you got to remember, this is going out. This is a show. People can listen to.
Oh, yeah. Mate, how many times have we had this chat over the years?
If you live together, you would come out of your room in your boots, jeans, and a vest, and you would stand in front of the mirror. Yeah, and you'd look at me and you go, mate, don't you just think I should have a big fuck off and gone on? Just be laughing, clapping, going, yeah, man, I totally get it. Oh,
mate, I still do it.
Oh, so mate, those are the remakes. This is my new thing that I'm trying, everyone. I'm trying to actually see if I could do it. Do I think they would accept it? I think
they would.
I don't. While Bruce Willis is alive, mate, no one's fucking getting involved.
Okay, well, you never know, mate. You never know. 2020's happening.
Bruce is ruthless. I can't speak. Bruce is ruthless, and I think that if it came to somebody trying to take over that franchise, trying and failing without his direct influence or hand on it, it's like with Zemeckis and Back to the Future. When Bruce Willis
that should never happen.
But hey, that's only because Robert Zemeckis has said, "I'm not letting you do it."
Well, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that motherfucker alive, because if that ever got made,
he's dead, mate. When Bruce is long gone, some fucking little scumbag in Hollywood is going to rub his hands together. I'm going to be rubbing my hands together, and I'm going to go, you know what IP everyone knows, and there is a guaranteed audience. I'm going to remake Die Hard. I guarantee in our lifetime.
It will happen. It will happen, and I just hope there's a drag queen in it.
Well, guys, that was this week's festive Christmas episode.
So
I hope
festive.
You enjoyed. Tomo, can you put some like a jingly belly outro or something, or even throw out a jingle bell? Like
just throughout the whole thing, just the odd jingle bell. Yeah.
Nailed it.
But do you know what? I love nothing more, mate, when you give me some extra editing to
Makes
do.
you work there, mate.
Extra work. It's all right, mate. I finish work at 1 tomorrow, so I'll be able to put plenty of jingle bells in. But yeah, thanks for listening, listeners. We're gonna do another episode. Go on.
We move on, Tomo. In place of me doing a stupid voice, which I can't do when I'm being on camera anymore.
Oh,
just
mate.
to say, guys, you may have noticed last week that we put some stuff that the Instagram. We got some news coming up to do with some things, some hot shit going on with the podcast. So I don't want to tell people.
We won't give the details, but we had a very interesting meeting with the boys from Liverpool Arts Bar. Shout out to them boys. They're a good gang of boys. If you don't know them, obviously COVID related, but go check out their bar. They're doing the Lord's work. They've got so much going on, supporting the arts in Liverpool currently. But yeah, we had an amazing meeting with them, and we're going to have a bit of a collaboration in the new year. So watch this space for that. But yeah, let's play a quick clip of the next film we're going to do.
Who is it?
It's Little Nero, sir. I have your pizza.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
Okay. Well, what about the money?
What money?
Well, you have to pay for your pizza, sir.
Is that a fact? How much do I owe you?
That'll be $11.80, sir.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
That's interesting.
That was a good one.
That was a good one, wasn't it, mate? That was a really good one. But yeah, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Leave us a review, subscribe, spread the love, spread the word.
You can find me at RichKelly999 at Instagram. Tomo is
999.
Hi, I'm Michael Burke.
And I'm at Rachel Tomo, and yeah, at Ready Steady Remake as well. Send us some love.
Yeah, man. Send us some nudes.
All I want for Christmas is nudes.
Yeah, we want nudes in our DMs, please.
Yes, please.
Guys,
Merry Christmas.
Show. Merry Christmas, one and all.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Stay safe.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping.